welcome everybody to our picky eaters, and I'm sorry that my cat decided she wants my attention right now. So welcome everybody to Picky Eaters event with Dr. Josie and Jamie. Oh, here's another. Dr. Josie Beug and Jamie Engerdahl. A little bit of housekeeping. Questions, there is a Q&A, so please put your questions in the Q&A and we'll try and get to them the best we can. If we can't get to them all, maybe we'll do a part 2, or we'll see what we can do to get to all the questions. If we go a little over time, that's okay, if that's okay with everybody. If not, we're going to be recording this anyways, and I'll be sharing it. So first of all, I'd like to thank my social media girl, Behaviour Ray, for doing all the ads so that everybody could share the ads. She did a great job. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been able to really pull this off. And I'd like to give special thanks to some of our special friends at Beagle Alliance Rescue, who also shared and in her website and her social media about our event, and Thrive Pet Store in St. Mary's Road. They also shared this event. So special thanks to some of those people and everybody that shared the event. So my name is Donna Middleton. I established Head to Tail Canine Nutrition in 2013. And in 2015, I received my certificate from Companion Animal Science Institute for advanced certification in canine nutrition. And my belief is the foundation of health is based on nutrition. And I strongly believe in Dr. Linus Pauling's statement, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. And then Dr. Josie Beug specializes in traditional Chinese veterinary medicine and its applications to geriatric care, chronic disease, and in-home hospice care. She graduated from the University of Colorado with a degree in biology and emphasizes in neurobiology. She earned her DVM from the University of Wisconsin School of Veterinary Medicine in 1998. She was president of the Student Association of AHVMA for 3 years, organizing holistic conferences and speakers at the veterinary school. For the past 25 years, she has built a thriving holistic house call practice in South Florida. She has recently begun offering online consultations, coaching for pet parents, and an online community teaching the 5 elements of TCVM for preventative wellness. She is a lifelong student of the healing arts, from herbs to oil, to energy to stones, integrating ancient knowledge with modern medicine to help her patients live longer, healthier, happier lives. Her quote is, "Animals are windows to our soul and a doorway to your spiritual destiny. If you let them into your life and allow them to teach you, you will be better for it." By Kim Shotola. Is that correct? So I will be sharing her social media links and stuff when I'm sharing out all this, but you can find Dr. Josie Beug on Facebook and Instagram, and she's got a Substack as well under drjosie.substack.com. And then we've got Jamie Engerdahl, is a board certified professional animal care provider, CPACP, through the Professional Animal Care Certification Council. Jamie holds certifications as a certified pet tech CPR and first aid instructor, a certified licensed WAG It Games instructor and judge, a certified fear-free professional both in dog training and veterinary services, and is also a CKC Canine Good Neighbor judge. Outside of teaching in the classroom and educating pet parents within her home or virtual behavior consultants, she also works part-time at a local veterinary clinic as an assistant, known to everyone as the clinic snuggler. Jamie takes a lot of pride in providing the best comfort to pre and post-surgery patients through touch and music therapy. You can connect with Jamie under kindercaninecoaching.com. So to start off our event this evening, I've got just kind of going to follow a little bit of a underline, but I was wanting to start with Dr. Josie, and I was wondering if you can describe the different types of picky eaters you encounter medically.
Okay, Donna. Hi. Thanks for having me on here. It's good to see everybody. Um, I see some of my actually clients on here as well,
Oh,
so that
nice!
have picky
Yay!
eaters. Medically, what I will often see, actually, and Susan is coming in. That's fantastic. Especially I'll see a lot of geriatric animals, but animals that start having any kind of kidney insufficiency, especially, any any pretty much all the chronic diseases. Heart disease and cancer can both present with a cachexia and including inappetence, anorexia, all of the GI issues, inflammatory bowel disease, IBS, dysbiosis, the list goes on. So, and unfortunately, I'm seeing gut issues, very serious gut issues right now in dogs as young as 2 years old, even 1-year-old dogs coming to
Oh
me.
my.
Yeah. So, though they have animals with GERD and they'll have nausea problems and things like that and go off their food and then not want to eat. So it kind of
Okay.
spans the spectrum.
And Jamie, the same question to you, but on the behavioral side.
So, welcome everyone. Thanks for attending. I see a lot of familiar names on the board, so thanks for joining us. I kind of see the same things as Josie. Definitely the gut issues and lack of digesting their food properly, improper routines for dogs, too much exercise within an eating period. I definitely see a lot of that. And then resource guarding. I find a lot of
Mm.
food sensitivities come from dogs are very space sensitive, and I know we're going to get into a bit of the behavioral things later, but dogs are super space sensitive. So if something's a negative association or a learned association, from resource guarding to approach to how many pets do you have in the same area, to olfactory, dogs are very sensitive with their smell. So if you have cleaners in the room, or you just mop the floors and then you're gonna feed your cat or your dog, are they having sensitivities to that? So a lot of behavioral things come from kind of things that we do. So a little bit of environment as well. We'll get into the thick of things later.
Right? Okay. So how do we differentiate a picky eater from a dog expressing discomfort, food sensitivities, or anxiety? Now I'll give that question to both of you.
Um, I mean, first off, usually if it's from a medical reason, they're usually going to have other symptoms involved. So, and it might not even be necessarily GI symptoms, but they can have vomiting, diarrhea, GERD, regurgitation. But you can also, if your dog has cardiac disease and was just started on a new medication, actually a lot of new medications, and you take them home, the medication itself can cause appetite problems or nausea. So there's usually other symptoms involved, and you're going to know there's an issue. If it comes on really suddenly, I think it's worthwhile to rule out medical issues, definitely, so
Mhm.
that you're not trying to force food on this dog who may be just super nauseous and not feeling well, or has dental issues and can't chew well, or something like
Mhm.
that. So I think it's really important to rule out the medical,
Is there any
you know.
symptoms that, other than not eating, that you could watch for? Like I know with my guy, if he's doing a lot of lip licking, that I know his tummy's upset. Is there anything else besides lip licking?
Or lip licking, drooling, You know, if they're just being lethargic, not wanting to even drink water.
Okay.
I think a big one that I see a lot is isolation, but you know, the
Yeah.
thing is a lot of owners don't recognize that right away. And they day 7, they're like, have they been hiding in the bathroom this whole time? Have they been down in the basement? Like, where's the cat going during mealtime?
Yeah.
So a lot of times
Yeah.
it's really, you know, cats are really good, especially cats are really good at hiding pain and hiding sensitivities. So I find a lot of times isolation is a big like red flag for people to watch out for because it's often missed.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
if they're not showing up for food time, I mean, most animals, you know, that's one reason I'm opposed to like keeping the food out all the time and grazing. Everybody needs to have their food bowl so you can monitor, are they coming to eat or not? What are they eating? Are they taking a couple bites and then walking away? What's going on? So,
You know, two of my dogs do something very unique when their tummies are upset. I have a herb called thyme in a pot on my porch, and
mhm.
when their tummies are upset, they go nibble on that plant. And so I bring it in the wintertime and it sits on the window ledge. And my dog Nate will, when his tummy's upset, he'll sit there and stare at it. I'm going, oh, do you want this? And I'll bring it down. And sure enough, he's nibbling on it and he won't eat dinner until and it's
He's
calms it.
self-selecting,
Yeah,
and you might even try growing maybe a little peppermint in another pot next
I
to the
have
thyme.
that. I have that
But
too, but they don't touch that one.
thyme it has a lot of antiviral, antibacterial properties.
Ah,
So
cool.
it's soothing. Yeah, it's doing something to soothe their stomach. But
Right.
it's great to have potted herbs like that because animals will self-select.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
They
as I
will
learned.
self-select. Yeah.
Now, what about grass eating?
Ah, grass eating. I have my own theories of that. I keep a pot of planted grass for my cat, and I
I do too.
recommend cats need grass. And over the years, I've had my cats realize that their breath smells fresher right after they eat grass. They will eat grass purposefully, and if they have it available to them, they're not always eating it and then vomiting it back up. But I think it's scrub, especially being pure carnivores, they have shorter digestive tracts. It helps scrub out their intestines. It
Mm-hmm.
gives them prebiotics, that
Mm-hmm.
fiber.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a lot of raptors need if they're not getting the fiber from the fur and feathers of the mice and birds, they need something else to provide that fiber for them. So for cats especially, and dogs as well, if I see dogs eating grass, I will often think about stomach heat, where they've got some inflammation or gastritis going on, even or esophagitis. So I
Oh,
actually I actually am coming out with a new supplement. It's just available for my clientele right now, but it's called Dr. Josie's Grass. But
oh,
it has
cool.
some marshmallow root in it and has some grass in it, some spirulina, some chlorella. I mix that in with their raw food, and
Nice.
it will stop the external grass eating.
Cool.
But
That's
they're
cool.
definitely searching for something when they're eating grass because some dogs have a really big issue with it, and it comes back to their diet ultimately.
Okay. Good to
Yeah,
know. Good to know.
yeah.
Um,
I wanted to mention another symptom
oh,
too that we
yeah,
haven't
oh,
touched
okay.
on
Yes.
is weight gain or weight loss.
Oh,
Sometimes
yes.
Yeah,
another thing that
yeah.
you don't recognize quickly with your own animals because you see them every day, right? Essential for those annual vet visits. I know everybody's like, oh, my animal's healthy. They don't need to go to the vet. But there's so many things that you can miss because you see them every single day. So I think weight loss and weight gain, I mean, that could lead to a thyroid issue, it could be
Mm-hmm.
diabetic, like
Mm-hmm.
there could be so many things. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely that's
Mm-hmm.
another symptom I think that gets missed a lot and often
And
something I ask for.
Yeah.
Have they
yeah,
gained weight or lost weight recently? Yeah.
and you can't tell right away. Like I take my
No.
dog with
No.
heart disease in, I take him every 6 months.
Mhm.
And I just had him there a couple weeks ago, and the vet says, oh, he's lost such a tiny little bit. And I was like, okay, I'll get on top of that right away because of his medications, I don't want him to lose weight, right? Because
Mhm.
it's a
Yeah.
symptom that something could be going on with the kidneys because of the medication.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and cardiac patients also, their metabolism shifts. It's just like cancer patients. So
Yeah,
they'll develop what they call cachexia. So their metabolism might go way up and they require more calories in order to keep the weight on.
yeah.
So that's a
So,
whole nother issue
and
too.
it's important to go in regularly, or, and be on top of
Yeah.
that before it becomes a real bad visual, or it's like, and then it's almost harder to get on top of it.
Hmm.
So,
Yes.
here's a good question. Are certain breeds and temperaments more prone to being picky eaters?
This is a very loaded question, but
I
yes.
know, I
That's
have my own
yeah.
theories too.
I'm sure everybody has their own theories. Yeah, and it's just a theory. I mean, I over the years I think there are more breeds, but I think a lot of them it depends upon the owner, and a lot of the smaller breeds can really get their owners wrapped around their little fingers very quickly and very easily. And so I see the toughest, honestly, the toughest breed that I see is Maltese. And
Mm,
I have had little Maltese go on hunger strikes. Literally, like they are like, I am not eating unless I get this particular chicken cooked at this particular restaurant. Dot, dot, dot. Like they've got the order put in there. And I had a case years ago when I was working at a clinic, and the owner of the clinic, we had this client, he said, oh, you're going on vacation, just board your dog here, we're going to get him switched onto a complete dog food, it's not going to be an issue. And that dog on day 4, I remember the kennel person walked into the doctor's office and was like, this dog has not eaten a single thing for 4 days. And
wow.
so we broke down and went down the street to Pollo Tropical chicken because that was the only chicken this dog would eat. Like
Oh my.
it was crazy. I mean, that's like on the extreme end of things, but it's been known to happen.
I've come
So
across pugs. Well, pugs are not picky. They're the opposite of
yeah,
picky, right? So there's a
yeah.
small breed that's the opposite of picky, and shepherds tend to be in what I've seen in my business. I've seen shepherds, but they also are more prone to gastrointestinal
Exactly.
issues.
Yeah, they have much more sense
Yes.
of so
Yeah,
German Shepherds was on my list. And also
yeah.
Pyrenees. I've come across a lot of Pyrenees that have kind of did that.
Oh,
But again, it always leads to resource guarding. Pyrenees are great resource
Ah,
guarders.
yeah,
And then
mm,
gut issues as well, right? So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
So
those
yeah.
shepherds for sure. And then like small terriers, and really any small terrier, I see a lot. I don't consider pets picky. I think there's always something, there's always a reason or a root cause for why they're not eating. But I
mhm.
know a lot of pet parents would label terriers, a lot of the small terriers there. And
Yeah,
and then again, it
yeah.
leads back to
Jan Sherman's
dental.
waving her hand. She's got 2 terriers.
Right? Yeah, I've had terriers too. So I mean, I've had large terriers, not smaller ones, but
Yeah, yeah.
and often, especially with the smaller dogs, what people don't realize, and Josie, I know you'll agree with this, is that people don't realize that dental disease happens so young. It starts
Mm.
as early as 1 year old,
Oh,
and people
wow.
think, oh, my 1 year old Yorkie, no way they could have a dental issue, or and
Oh, yeah.
they do. So yeah,
Yeah,
Mm,
Yorkies especially. I
yeah,
mean, they can lose their entire mouth of teeth
yeah.
by 2 years old, some of them, and
And who
poodles as well.
wants
You
to
know.
eat when their mouth is uncomfortable,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So just imagine
yeah,
we have a toothache. We don't
yeah,
want to
But
eat.
then again, I've seen like dogs eat that you would be like,
How are you doing this?
how are
Exactly.
they doing it?
Yep.
So there's also, there can be dogs. I've seen dogs with severe dental disease not have a problem eating either. So
Yeah,
it's a real individual thing.
100%. Yeah,
I had a dog that was on her deathbed, dying because she had internal hemorrhaging from cancer, and she would eat.
Mm, yeah.
And that's how it was Christmas Day, so I couldn't get a vet. So I was giving her really high THC on a piece of kibble, and she was consuming it just to help
Mm.
manage the pain. So
Oh.
so she was definitely not picky. I have another interesting question for you. Jamie, what patterns do you see between a dog's pickiness and their owner's energy, routine, or habits? And I'll get both of you to answer that one.
Phew, that's also a very loaded
It's
question. And we could have like a whole conversation just on that question alone. But honestly, I think the biggest thing that a lot of people don't understand, and me myself as well, sometimes I got to take a step back and think, oh, what am I doing to contribute to the way that my dog's behaving, right? Or cat, or whatever pet it is. Definitely our energy. Dogs understand intent. I don't know how much of behavior imprinting you want me to discuss today, or if you want me to keep it just really casual and easy, or do you want me to deep dive into kind of more of the cognitive thought processes from animals? I don't know how.
I don't know.
go for it.
Go for
So,
it. Yeah.
so, I mean, I think the biggest thing is that dogs, or people, don't understand that dogs and cats have thresholds, and that can be emotionally triggered or environmentally triggered. So dogs are very space sensitive in particular. So if we, going back to kind of a resource guarding issue, if we're constantly invading their space and they associate a negative response to your body or your presence being your food, that can definitely affect and, you know, kind of hinder or damage that relationship a little bit. And so how we move, how we enter a space, how we see the space, how we view the space, I think that's huge. When I go in and do home assessments, that's one of the first things that I do is I watch and I look at the environment and I watch how the dog or the cat responds to the environment and the movement of the people. And are they happy with that? Or are they, you know, uncertain about that? And then go ahead. Were you gonna ask a question? Oh no, sorry, I thought I heard somebody. So yeah, and then kind of depending on how that dog responds or the cat responds to that is kind of what I would do with the animal on how to see if they did they enjoy something different, or if we change something in the environment. An example, I had a dog, he was a husky, and he was very sensitive over a downstairs hallway, but that's where he ate, and he never wanted anybody in that space. He didn't want, like, nobody could walk by. Guests could not walk by. Their owners could not walk by. The cat couldn't walk by when he was in that space. So there was resource guarding happening. But when I assessed the space, there was a stool in the corner. And I don't know what the aversion to the stool was from the dog's point of view. But when we removed the stool, all behavior left.
Wow.
So that's how sensitive animals can be just by a
Yeah.
space. It was a stool. The stool triggered the dog's.
Yeah.
Did he fall off of it? Did it, you know, fall over one day? Does it smell funny? Like, who knows whatever happened with the stool and where that connection came from? But dogs are really sensitive to space. So what is in the space that adds to that sensitivity? Is it the human? Is it the object? Is it the room itself? What is it? So I always like to explore different ways. If we move the food dish, although I don't like dogs eating out of a food dish, if I move the feeding area, does that change their behavior? Does that change their emotional state? So there's thresholds from environment, going and entering and exiting an area, and then there's thresholds of their emotional state. Where are they at? Are they under threshold? Are they at threshold? Or are they over threshold during those situations? So just different things that people can think about.
Okay. Dr. Josie, can you explain how the emotional bond between a human and a dog can influence the appetite or food refusal?
Yeah, oh my goodness. I feel that our animals, I mean, just as animals are sensitive to space and to, you know, thresholds like that, they're sensitive to our energies. And they know when we're sick, they know when we're stressed out, they know when, and I know a lot of people, if the dog or cat isn't eating, and this happens to myself, I have a 20-year-old cat right now, and if she doesn't eat, I immediately, you know, my body tenses up, you start worrying, you're like, oh my God, I got to get food in, why aren't they eating? Is this the end? Is what's going on? They know and hear all of that and feel all of that. So you compounding your stress can just compound their issue, and they might even think of it like, "Oh my gosh, why are they so why are they so freaked out that I'm not going to go near my food bowl?" We don't know how they're interpreting our nervousness. So we can have a huge, huge effect on that. And I know it's hard to be very conscious. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I have like a weekly meditation class in my online program, because so that people can sit and become much more aware of their internal state, because our internal state, and dogs pick up minute signals from us,
Mhm.
minute bodily signals, because when they communicate with each other, it's on a really subtle level. It's just like working with them when I work with them with um, self-medication and choosing things. They give very subtle signals compared to cats or horses. Like cats will tell you right away what's up, but
Mhm.
dogs are very subtle, and so they notice our body signals as well.
And they know our
So,
intent. So if we think
and
something,
yeah,
yeah, if we think
yeah,
something and we put it out in the world, in the universe, in our
yeah,
brain, they know it. So be really,
yeah,
I always tell my pet parents, go in with the intention that you desire,
Uh,
not the intention that you think. Because
yeah. Because, and even if we were to open up food and be like, "Oh man, that smells horrible," they're gonna pick that up
yeah, yep, yep.
from
yeah,
us, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned about, Jamie, you had mentioned you didn't like dogs eating out of food bowls. And I know there's a reason for that, but would you like to explain that?
Well, dogs don't naturally eat out of bowls. It's
Exactly.
it's not a natural behavior. And kind of that's kind of my answer to one of your other questions that you had for us. Dogs want movement. They want
Mhm.
play. They want interaction. They want, now some dogs, not all dogs, some dogs really enjoy just going and laying down and just, snacking on their thing and being in a zen like meditation state. But most dogs and most young adolescent dogs, they want movement. They want the seek behavior. They want
Yes.
they want to use all of their senses, and they want to take as much time as they want, right? So we're so, as a domestic household, we got to eat at 9 and 5. We got to eat out of the bowl. You got to eat in 30 seconds and then be done. And then we're like, go, 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 let's go. I got to get to work. We got to get to school. We got to do this. And that's stressful. Oh my goodness. It kind of takes me to an example with my husband in the military. He's taught to eat really fast. I was never taught that. I'm not in the military, so I was never taught that training. And I never want to. I want to savor my food. I want to enjoy it. And I think a lot of dogs feel that same way as well, and cats too. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm a huge believer. I'm not a huge believer in making a dog work for their food. That's not the mentality and the point of it, but engaging them in ways that they prefer. What's their breed specifics? What do they enjoy doing? What is their favorite game to play? And how can we monopolize that with food? How can
Mhm.
we make food more fun and less boring?
Mhm. Dr. Josie, do you have any insight on that question?
I think she covered most of it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I've recently also switched
I
my
mean,
dogs from food bowls to food plates too. So, and
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a difference.
Oh, and on that topic,
mhm,
a
mhm.
lot of people don't realize that if you want to tire out your dog, I know there's many people on here that have herding breeds, that have high energy breeds, high working breeds. And in your mind, you're like, oh, I need to work this dog. I got to run them for 10 hours a day. I can't tire them unless we do 24/7, 365 days, every hour, and go, go, go mentality. If
Yeah.
you want to tire out your dog, tire them out through their jaw and their
Yes.
let them chew and chew and chew and chew. And if you want to solve any behavior problem that you have today with your animal, those two things will do it. Those two things. If you want to be a lazy
Yes.
trainer, I'm a lazy trainer. I want to do the least amount of work to get the biggest bang out of my buck. And if you want to do that, feed your dog through chewing things and seeking things. And you will have a dog that will sleep all day. But when you're ready to go climb a mountain, they're like, let's go.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a lazy
And
dog
then
trainer, and that's the best way, but that's natural to them. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
yeah, the chewing is so self-soothing to dogs too. It releases endorphins and everything. I mean, giving your dog a bone and just letting them sit and chew on it is
Right?
just it's
Amazing.
anti-anxiety.
That's
You
good.
know, I feel so bad for dogs that never get bones to chew on.
Yes.
I really
Yeah,
do.
that is
Mhm.
their
They
version of
can't just sit there.
meditation. You can see
Yeah,
their whole body,
yeah,
like whole
yeah,
body transitions when chewing on
yeah,
something. And
yeah.
it
Their eyes get heavy and they're just like, yeah.
it literally is a great example is when we eat turkey, and we get the
Yeah,
calming sedation.
tryptophan.
The
Yeah,
tryptophan, yeah,
that's
yeah,
exactly
yeah,
what chewing does to your
Yeah,
dog. It
yeah,
settles
yeah,
them, it calms them, and it helps with their digestion as well. So
yeah.
dogs cannot
yes.
physically bark, they cannot counter surf, they cannot jump, they cannot lunge, they cannot chase. I mean, they can, but they're not going to if they're actively resting and chewing. They're
Right.
gonna
Yeah.
not want to because so
Yes.
dogs don't do anything in their life if it takes effort. They don't just exhaust energy for the fun of it. I mean, some I guess can if they're taught to do that, but in general, if
In
humans were
general,
out
yeah.
of the picture, dogs would not exhaust energy unnecessarily. They will do it only when it's a life or death situation. So
Right.
why are we making them do all of these crazy things unnecessarily, right? I mean, I'm not saying don't do sports and don't do all these things. Have fun with your dogs, but chewing is the best thing for your dog, 100%.
What do you recommend for dogs that don't chew bones?
Thank you.
Topples, frozen topples, or half frozen. You know, sometimes if the dog has never had a frozen item, maybe, or they don't even like something cold, start off with it, you know, being fresh or whatever, and then slowly transition into a frozen state or a half frozen state, wherever kind of that comfortability is. But I love
Mhm.
topples, calms, esophagus, hollow bones.
Yeah.
Like there's just so many things on the market now that you can get at the stores that, I mean, there's just so many
And
varieties.
you might, yeah, and you might start off with something. And this goes back to why it's so important to introduce chewing to puppies. I
Right?
think people take puppies into vets and, oh, don't let them have anything to chew on. That's when they like learn to chew and they develop their jaw muscles and good dental health and everything else. But maybe starting out, some dogs have a hard time, again, if they have any dental problems, chewing the really hard things. So you might need to start off with softer things. And now, like, you can go, there's so many good treat companies out there with animal parts that you can get, you know, everything from like cow ears and, you know, all different kinds of animal parts and different textures too.
Yeah, Maya used to eat raw bones all the time, but now that she's older and she doesn't have any
Mm.
dental issues, she's 13, but she has the best teeth in the world. That's the only thing healthy on her body right now, and
Aw.
it's got great dental, which is good. But she doesn't want the hardness anymore. I love that you mentioned that, Josie. She doesn't want hard
Yeah.
things, and she wants softer things. She wants easier things. She doesn't want frozen things. She wants it just to be fresh
Yeah.
and easy to get at. She's done the 13 years of chewing, so she's like, I know how to settle myself. I don't need that to do it. So she does. She really, her favorite thing, her kryptonite right now is from Global Pets, is those flat, I don't know, it's like a beef tendon or a beef something. They're like long strips. It's like a bone,
Oh,
but they're like
Yeah,
really
tendon.
thin.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. She gets one every single day for her lunch snack. And that is like, that girl, her hind end isn't working very well, but she will fly across the house for that tendon, for sure. That's her favorite. But it's thin, right? So she doesn't have to work as hard.
Yeah, I give those to the Papillons too, because they don't have very many teeth anymore.
Yeah, a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So little dogs that don't have a lot of teeth or they're not big chewers,
Yeah.
again, same idea, right?
Oh, another great thing too is if everybody has a dehydrator or just baking things in the oven, so like sweet
Yeah.
potatoes in the oven, carrots, take any vegetable you want and
Mhm.
air fry it
Dehydrate it.
or dehydrate it, or
Mhm.
absolutely, because
Mhm.
again, now you've still
Yeah.
got a softer but yet crunchier option too, and healthy. Mhm.
Now, there is one question in the Q&A. I don't know if everybody's using it, but I'll ask this question. Kathy says, I rescued Aussie Doodle last September. We have gone through every kind of dog food diet out there for her. One day she eats something, the next day she won't touch it. She has had diarrhea for a number of months now. Our vet has given her every test possible and nothing wrong with her. We've had her on medication, but the diarrhea comes back. We are now home cooking for her, and still she won't eat things from one day to the next and still has diarrhea. We are out of options. Any suggestions? Dr. Josie, maybe you have some idea?
That sounds like a lot of the cases that I'm getting these days, even in young dogs. It's usually either there's a disrupted microbiome, usually inflammatory bowel disease and inflammation, leaky gut in there. And what'll happen is they'll be hungry, and if it's a new item, they'll eat it. But food aversion is a real thing in dogs and cats. So it's the way I describe it to people is if you've ever gone to a restaurant and gotten food poisoning, and that particular food that you got the food poisoning from, you don't go back and eat that food sometimes for years. Or it's like going out and drinking too much tequila. Like, when is the next time you're going to go to tequila after that? Or I had shrimp poisoning once, and I don't think I ate shrimp for like 3 years. So they will often, if they eat something and then they get nauseous, whether that food is causing the nausea or not, it's like in their head, they're like, I got sick from eating that, so I'm not going to eat it again. So a lot of times I end up with like, I'll have people, it's like the lazy Susan method of feeding on older cats and dogs, where what they might eat something for a few days and then you got to switch it up again. And then maybe 2 weeks around, you like circle back around. But in that case, I would have the dog's microbiome tested. I would put them on probably a food elimination trial and get probably even do fecal transfer, and work with somebody. It took me, I had actually it was like a Maltese Terrier mix. Took me 2 years to get that dog's guts straightened out. He was a year and a half when he came to see me. And it was a similar thing, just pure liquid diarrhea, vomiting, and they just were at their wits' end. But it can be done. It just takes a lot of patience and a lot of probiotics, sometimes doing ozone therapy, sometimes doing, enemas of fecal transfer material, all of that. So
Yeah,
it's a project.
it is a project. I've had some clients I've been successful with doing, I've got a diet developed by Dr. Karen Becker for reestablishing the gut once it's had IBS, IBD, and then we slowly move them. But we also work with digestive enzymes and gut,
Yeah.
like some of the
Yeah.
Adored Beast products, right? So
Yeah.
there's those options too, and if that doesn't work,
And
then
sometimes they're even sensitive to that stuff. I mean, I've
yeah,
had to just go like really, really slow and to get them turned around, and you may be feeding them really, really simple diets, like something that like scrambled egg. Just try that. Well, like
right.
single item things as you go, but trying to get the protein in them and get
Yeah,
something in them. I would stay away from most commercial dog foods altogether
yeah,
and just feed them individual items as you go, you know.
right.
Um, and
Uh,
not even worry about balanced diet, because right now they're not, if it's liquid going in, they're probably losing weight, not even absorbing nutrients at this point in time. So
I
What
know,
would you?
Josie, you had touched on words. You had touched on whether or not the food was spoiled or getting sick from it or whatnot. And I think a lot of people
yeah.
are so fearful of a raw diet because of salmonella, E. coli, and all of these other things. But you can get the exact same thing from kibble. And when you open your bag, what a lot of
Well,
people don't
most
realize right?
Yeah.
What a lot of people don't realize is that every time you open up your kibble bag, it's
Well, it's
volume.
rancid, and I don't like to go back in time, but 2024 was a really seriously bad year for dog kibble, and I have gotten to the point in my practice where I cannot conscientiously recommend any dry dog food to dogs right now. The problem is still ongoing, and there's certain things that are going into the global food chain that are not being removed from the global food chain, and we had dogs dying of and I thought there was a hemorrhagic gastroenteritis epidemic happening. I thought there was some bacterial disease coming because I was seeing so many cases, and it turned out we think we pinned it down to a fumigant pesticide in the in the not just dry dog food, but in dried meal products. So it
Mm.
could be anything from brewer's yeast to rice to any kind of poultry meal, byproduct meals, any dried food product essentially. So that's a whole nother issue. But what I was talking about is like the nausea from the dog coming from a medical source or some other source and then blaming the food on it, even though the food is just fine.
Right.
But they're like, oh, I ate that and it made me sick, so I'm not going to eat it again. I see that a lot. So you have to kind of be tricky, especially with cats.
Well, they
Okay,
imprint
right.
so quickly. People don't realize
Yeah,
that animals imprint so quickly. So it could take just one time
just
to
boom. Yep.
sour everything for the rest of their lives. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Here's a good question. How long can a dog go without eating before it is a concern?
I mean, it kind of depends upon the dog, and it depends upon whether there's other clinical symptoms or not. Is the dog if the dog's vomiting and has diarrhea and is not eating, you need to get something taken care of pretty quickly, because what'll
Mhm.
happen is they'll go into dehydration and their electrolyte balance will get all off kilter, and then you're going to be in real trouble. So if they're not able to keep things down and keep liquid in, then I would have them seen within 24 hours
Right.
easily. Um,
And
if they're just like, oh, I don't want to eat that, but I'll eat this, that's another issue. And one
right.
issue I see, especially with um I'll see people giving they'll be like, "Oh, my dog doesn't like the dog food, and my dog doesn't like this dog food, my dog doesn't like that for dog food." But what they'll do is they'll break down and they'll be giving them treats all day long. So I ask them, "Well, how many treats are you feeding your dog?" And they will be giving a little tiny dog an entire like 1 to 2 meals worth of treats. So the dog's not going to eat their food because they're already filled. It's like a kid eating, a Snickers candy bar. Well, I want the like treats filled with all of these sugars and all this extra stuff. There's a lot of treats out there. You read the ingredient list on a bag of treats, and there'll be 5 forms of sugar in that bag of
Oh,
treats.
wow.
Yeah, so when I go to people's houses, this is the advantage I have actually going to their house. I can open up their pantry and I will pull out each bag of treat and I'll be like, okay, sugar number 1, sugar number 2, sugar number 3. So they are literally like they're eating Snickers candy bars, and then they wonder why they don't want to eat their dinner like their regular dog food. So it's a big issue. And those dogs learn really quick. They're like, no, I'm holding out for that. I don't want this plate of broccoli. In some instances, it happens very easily like that. So,
Just to
Um,
add to that, I I want to kind of talk on because dogs, we talked about intention. They already know our intentions, but we've never really talked about dogs are opportunists, like through and through opportunists, and they're great manipulators. Like they will
yes.
manipulate you under the table without you even realizing they will do it. They are very good manipulators, but they don't do things out of spite. They don't feel remorse. They don't understand what that means. And it's not guilt, it's not shame, it's not any of those things. But manipulation, oh yes. If they know And most people, like myself, are very impatient. And so we just give in very quickly, and they will know,
Yeah.
sucker, I will hold out 3 days for that treat because I know eventually you're going to put a topper on my food to make me eat my food. And, and
Right.
there's your imprint.
Yeah.
So they will manipulate you and they will bargain with you. What about that cupboard? What about that cupboard? How about that cupboard? I know there's
Yes.
better in that cupboard. They will play you like a fiddle. And it's actually kind of funny. It's entertaining. If you were to ever videotape it and rewatch what your dog is doing, you would laugh really, really a lot because it is, you see it. It's just that in the moment you don't know, right?
Right. Right.
But if you were
Yeah.
to step outside and be the fly on the wall, it would be like, oh my God, I can't believe they just manipulated me, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the ladies in the comments that you and I both know, Jamie, with Whiskey, she
Oh,
said
yeah.
Whiskey was highly motivated eater, and he's 10 months and he's lost all motivation. So
That's
yeah.
resource guarding there.
Hmm?
I said we do have resource guarding as a big root trigger for
Okay.
Whiskey. Yep.
Yeah.
What kind of dog is he?
Golden Retriever.
Yeah. He's a high energy boy.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, because I don't think it's normal for a 10-month-old to all of a sudden become picky all of a sudden.
No, I think a lot of it is
No.
environment. I think it is how we've dealt with resource guarding in the past. And then it's again the imprinting, right? The dogs will imprint so quickly on certain things. So what did we do with that particular mealtime? Is it the space in the house too, right? I know we've not really talked about Whiskey specifically on eating and feeding rituals yet, but I think that I think it's a lot of environmental play with
Okay.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it could be hormones too. I mean, it's hard to say.
Oh
But
yeah,
it
that's true.
definitely could be.
Oh yeah,
For
that
sure.
is very
He's
true
an
because
intact
he's
male, a
intact.
young adolescent with so much confliction going through his body right now, hormonally, cognitively. He's going through what we go through between 14 and 20 years of age, right? We have likes and dislikes. Our emotional states are all over the place. So one moment we're happy, the next moment we're really tired, the next moment we're angry. And it's just there's so much going on in his poor little body that he doesn't understand. So any negative association and or positive that can really affect his eating habits for sure. So definitely something we can talk in more.
And I agree with that because you and I discussed Fanny with her eating the duck feet. She kept taking her duck feet away from her feeding station onto my cream colored carpet, and at the third time I got upset with her, and now she won't touch the duck feet at all because she's afraid I'm right. She's afraid I'm going to get mad at her.
They're so
Yeah.
yeah. And I think with Whiskey, he's a little bit nervous because of that resource guarding and the display that we've had and the interaction that we have. So there's a lot of things at play with an adolescent intact male specifically that you have to work through, and it really is just solving one problem at a time. The fact though that he's been to the vet and we've ruled out any gastric issue or anything like that, I guess my question would be, did they actually do a full health assessment, or was it just did they actually do diagnostics that, Josie would have recommended? Or did we just do an outward assessment?
No, full blood work. It was,
From blood.
yeah.
And fecal and
Not fecal, no, just blood work. And his urea was a little high because I gave him a lot of chew, so it's little high in protein. But that's about it.
this would be kind of a question towards Josie because you're the veterinarian on here. So
Well, a lot of the BUN, the blood urea nitrogen levels often run higher in dogs that are fed raw meat diets or higher protein diets. So years ago, I mean, this was back probably around 2002, Antech, one of the laboratories actually came out with a whole paper written on that. But yeah, I mean, if he doesn't have GI signs, he's not regurgitating or has any bilious vomiting or any signs of, acid reflux or anything like that, then it's probably not physical. I mean, there could be you know, sometimes I wonder with intact males if there's an intact female dog in heat in the neighborhood. I just inherited an intact male that's about 5 or 6 years old, and he was still just running wild up in Kentucky. But his entire behavior will just go. He will go bouncing off the walls if there is an intact and female in heat. We just had 2 houses over from me. They have an Aussie who had a litter of puppies, but I can tell when a dog is in heat in the neighborhood. And they will forgo eating, they will forgo anything just to get to that female, you know?
I think another thing
So
for whiskey too is that he eats a lot of random things. So that's going to cause a lot of
Mm,
gastric upset and in the moment, right? So I think we need to solve a lot of behavioral things. I think
Mhm.
before, yeah, I don't suspect that it's medical either for whiskey, but I think in moments it could. He's definitely got a gastric upset if he eats too big of rocks or the bone that he picked up, or like random things that he finds. But he inhales anything. So that tells me, why not?
well, you've gotta rule out obstruction and not having to open him up surgically and go in there and pull something out too.
Right.
Yeah, which we
You
just
know,
had.
but usually they're going to be looking like they feel ill. If they have an actual obstruction, they're going to be down and out and nothing's going to be going through, and you're going to know something's wrong with them. So
Mhm.
you got to look at your
Yes,
dog and learn what a healthy, happy dog looks like and what a sad, oh my gut, it hurts dog looks like.
right, right.
You know?
There's a question by Joe Williams in the Q&A. A question a client asked me was, can hand feeding cause picky or fussy eaters? I would like your feedback on this. But of information, this is a new dog in the house, and it is in a state of trauma with dislocated hip. So bending down is causing pain. The vet said not to hand feed as it can cause fussy eating. Oh, that's an interesting.
Well, and
Yeah.
this is something I'd like to bring up with Jamie too, because I do see this happen a lot. An animal, or especially an older animal, will get sick for whatever reason. The only way they can get them to eat is even like syringe feeding and then going to hand feeding, and then they cannot get them to eat again. It's like they're stuck on hand feeding.
Mhm.
And I see this happen really frequently.
So with this
Yeah.
poor dog with a hip problem, can't bend down, what
But
about
that's
a
well, there's
feeding station?
Yeah, that's a whole nother option, but I don't know, I mean, sometimes there's a lot of cases where I've had where the only way they will eat is if it's coming from the client's hand,
I
you
Mhm.
think
know?
it really is. I don't think it's a generalized behavior. That I am a huge advocate for hand feeding if and when it's
Yeah.
rightly appropriate. So definitely, Maya. So kind of going back to the don't wait too long if they're not eating, and they're usually good eaters, what's going on. So Maya, a great eater, she's not a picky eater at all, she will eat everything and anything. She's going through some health issues as a senior, and for a week she didn't really want to eat her breakfast. It was only breakfast. Several times she was good, but breakfast she just wasn't. So I'd hand feed her a little bit just to ensure that if there is nausea, that we're getting some food in there
Mhm.
to create palatability, right? To create the need and the desire to eat. I'll give you an example of Molly. She had myasthenia gravis and she had megaesophagus. I had to hand feed her little meatballs. We had to make her little meatballs, so because she couldn't swallow, and we had to feed her upright so that it would travel down her throat. She lived for 9 years with this condition. Hand feeding her never prevented her from eating ever out of a bowl or a topple or a bone, or it never created a behavior that she was dependent on. So I really think it's independent of the human, what's
Mhm.
their emotional state about the subject and the behavior, and then what's the dog's emotional state and thought process of the behavior.
Right.
Is there a lack of movement? So the dog has hip issues. He's not going to be running around and moving and chasing food if I was to toss cookies or whatever. So yeah, there could be some dogs that are a little bit more prone to becoming reliant on it because it's easier, it feels better, and I enjoy it more. But it is a great way to bond. there's ways to break it.
Yeah.
There's so many skills and things and different games you could do to break the habit if it does become a habit. But I honestly, I don't see it a lot from my side that they become dependent on that they can't ever recover from it.
Okay. I've developed a problem with my youngest Papillon. I hand fed him to as a puppy, trying to get weight on him. And over the years, I've worked on, well, obviously I've broken it, but it was a process.
Mhm.
But I caused a problem
Yeah.
by hand feeding him as a puppy because he was skinny. He was my show dog. I was trying to get weight on him and he wouldn't eat because I'm at a dog show and I'm stressed, right?
I was gonna say, I think where
Yeah.
problems go with hand feeding is that there's a human stressor attached to
Yep.
it.
Yep.
And so the dog becomes reliant on that stressor. And sometimes maybe they're like, I have to do it because it keeps you sane. It makes your mental state better. So
Yeah.
is it the animal's problem or is it the human's problem? And
Right.
I would usually jump to that is a human error versus a dog error.
Yeah, I agree. Ladies, do we have any solutions and strategies for some of the people watching for their picky dogs that you would like to share?
Josie, I'll let you go first.
I I mean, I need to go case by case basis on this. It's
Okay.
just too big of a field.
Mhm.
You know, I it's a lot.
Yeah, it is
It
a
is a
lot.
big
Yeah.
question. Yeah.
It's a big question because I deal with a lot of geriatrics, I deal with a lot of end of life, and sometimes some of those dogs, you start hand feeding them, and there is a concern. There's a concern that the animal's going to die and how long they have left with them. So we're dealing with a very intense emotional situation. And when they don't eat, there's this whole thing to set up with that. So sometimes they're just hand fed for the rest of their lives, or however
Mhm.
they live.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean it's a huge yeah, if people have questions or something or cases, then I could take them case by case. But
I think my first
yeah,
recommendation to most
I
people
mean,
would be, or my first question to people would be, what's the rest ritual before and after feeding? So are they resting before they eat? Are they resting after they eat? Because again, that can lead to a lot of digestive issues. Are they feeling comfortable where they eat? So do they like their space? Do they like the smell of the space? So if you have incense or spray cleaners or floor cleaners, is that attributing to them not wanting to eat in that space? What's the noise? If you just sit in a room, so if I was just to sit in my office right now, what noises do I hear? Is that affecting, right? So environment first, and then what kind of things can we do physically to help the dog become more inclined to want to eat? So when I worked in Victoria at an emergency clinic, we used to have little pallet trays for cats because they're coming in, they're sick, they're nauseous, they haven't eaten for days, and we need to get them to eat. So we've put them on IV fluids. We're doing different things, but we'll have little plates of pellets, or pellet plates, we called them, and we had little dabs of random things: cold foods, warm foods, different digestive foods, store-bought foods, raw foods, cooked foods. We'd have a
Wow.
variety, and whatever they ate, that's what they got for the day. Whatever their palate wanted for that day, that's what they got. And then tomorrow it might be totally different, but they still got the options. So I think what we sometimes lack is giving dogs options, giving them the ability to choose. This morning, don't judge me, but this morning I had 2 vegan Reese's Pieces for breakfast because that is what my hormonal body wanted this morning. And they were at Starbucks and we got a hot chocolate. So I had a hot chocolate for breakfast with 2 of these vegan peanut butter cups. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. I had energy after. I was like, let's go. That's what my body, if
I like
I
the
eat that
yeah.
every day for breakfast, no, I usually eat a lot of fruit for breakfast, but in that
I
moment,
like that palette idea because that's often what times, I mean, people, um, you have to be able to see what they're going to want that day and give those different options. I mean, sometimes sometimes people feel like they're wasting a lot of dog and cat food because you open up a can and they ate it yesterday, but then you you throw 3/4 of it out, but you've got to have those things. The other thing too is warming it up,
Mhm,
especially for cats.
mhm.
Cats use their sense of smell to find their food, to eat their food. Cats, they hunt on the hoof. They want fresh blood pumping through those veins when they make their kills. So it's got to be warmed up.
Mhm.
And that can make all the difference too in the world, is with they can smell it.
Yeah, well, also too, how often are we cleaning their actual bowls? If you're
Oh
re-putting
yeah.
food in a dirty bowl, cats especially are gonna be like, oh, gross. Like it has to be cleaned after every meal, and as should dogs. So that's something I would think about too. Is are we
Yeah.
cleaning the bowls efficiently enough that they're not, going into it and is already dirty or already smells like old food or whatever. And then how big is it? Some cats want really
The
wide bowls.
whiskers.
Exactly, to make sure their whiskers fit, and they're very sensitive to that.
Yeah.
So dogs and cats are
Yeah.
super space sensitive. So think about that
Yeah.
in so many facets, and that bowls are one of them. Licky mats. I know, Donna, you mentioned the mats that you were talking about. I think there was a comment or a question in the thing too, asking more about that. Does the dog want to lick things?
Yes,
Or do they want to chew things? Or do they want to hold things? Or do
right.
they want to move towards things?
Mhm.
This is where you really literally have to sit in your space and observe.
Yeah.
Observe your animals. What do they like? Is there patterns of what they like and what they don't like? Is it a temperature issue in the room? Is it
Mhm.
temperature issue outside of the room? Is it their own internal temperature? Like what? There's so many. It's such a loaded question.
Right. Well, I mean,
And the social, what other animals? I've walked into places where they're trying to feed 3 or 4 animals in the same room, and,
Dogs don't
some
like that.
animals, it's a no, yeah, it's a huge issue,
They don't like that. Yeah.
yeah, and it depends on the pack.
and yeah, it's true, and some animals might wanna eat together, but then others, they wanna take their time, and you put them in a closed off room by themselves, their eating habits
Yeah,
totally change
yeah.
versus when they're competing and feel that competitive pressure.
Yeah,
Uh,
I have both spectrums. Out of my 4
yeah.
Papillons, I have 3 that love to eat together, and then I have my one guy who is my picky eater. He likes to eat in the hallway away from everybody, and he won't eat until everybody else is done. And one of the things I've
Doesn't
noticed,
want the
Yeah,
pressure. Yeah.
right? And one of the things I've noticed,
yeah.
he loves the mine platter, that he does like that, but he has been stopped eating again, and then so this past 2 weeks I've been giving him special personal attention before mealtime. Just pick him up, I hug him, give him some, because I'm busy. I have 7 animals, but he wants that one-on-one. So I give him 2 minutes of one-on-one, and now he's eating. I was like, is that how that
Yeah,
took?
interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, and he wants to be
Uh,
praised when he eats. He wants that, "Oh, you're such a good boy."
yeah. I had a
So,
funny thing happen to me when I left when I had 2 cats and I left them with a pet sitter while I was gone, and I went over the whole routine, and I came back, and it was something that I was doing that I didn't was not even aware of. I would set their plate down on the ground, and they would come up to it, and I would automatically just pet them from head to tail and say, "Here's your dinner." They wanted that every single time that they ate, and when the pet center luckily figured it out, because they would stand there at the bowl and then look up at her and be like, "Well, aren't you gonna pet me first when you put my bowl down?" So it can be these weird little quirks that
uh-huh.
we almost, like, train them to expect, and we don't even realize it, what we're
Mhm.
doing.
I
So,
always recommend, Donna, I got you to do this, videotape
Yeah.
your feeding ritual.
yeah.
Prop the phone up, videotape it. If you want to send me your videos, I will analyze it. I love doing that. Might take me a while to get to it, but I love doing it because there's so many things at like 0.33 seconds. You walked into the room, that pressure right there stopped the animal from eating, and you didn't notice it.
Mhm.
your tone of voice, your hand movements, your just your presence. Is it just your presence being in the room? There's so many things that happen that you don't realize it. So when you make a video and you rewatch it, laugh about all the silly things that you do and what your animal does, because we do really weird things. When you rewatch your videos, I want you to do three things. I want you to watch it 3 times. I want you to watch only the pet, and it doesn't matter what order, but just watch only the pet and write down all of the things that you observe. And then the next time you watch it, I want you to watch just yourself. Write down everything that you observe. And then the third time, I want you to watch the entire environment. Did the fan turn on? Did the air conditioning turn on? Did the dishwasher turn on?
Did your phone ring? Whatever.
Did your phone ring?
Yeah.
What did a dog walk by? Did your husband walk through the room? Somebody drop a glass? Like, was there sirens? Was there something in the environment that changed the animal's behavior? When you watch it and you start to observe it and digest it, you're like, wow, I didn't realize they were sensitive to these things. And maybe it didn't matter. But when you do it more times, you'll start to see patterns possibly. And then with those patterns, we can start to implement changes. So when you ask, what should I do? I would say that's the first thing I would do is observe. Observe your animals, and not as
And yourself.
And yourself. Observe your animals
Yeah.
and yourself and the environment and what's contributing to the changes.
One of my clients had mentioned to me a week ago, her dog wouldn't eat for her, but would eat for her husband.
So there's some sort of emotional, physical trauma going on there.
Yeah. Here's a question. How can feeding energetics, homeopathy, or natural supplements help with sensitive eaters? Dr. Josie, any ideas on that one?
Well, I actually, flower essences can help a lot if there is that emotional issues involved, either from like social pressures or, just PTSD or being, fear-based things or something like that. Because I've had a lot of good success with flower essences. And you can use them, they're safe to use, they're not going to cause any GI problems. You can put them in the water bowl, you can rub them on their ears, and it will often, there's some really good flower essence companies out there. So you can kind of look at what you're dealing with. And then sometimes if you think there might be nausea, but you're not seeing outward signs like the licking of the lips or smacking or vomiting or things, a couple homeopathic remedies like Nux vomica is just a simple homeopathic remedy to settle the stomach down, and even giving that maybe like a half an hour or so before eating. There's an acupuncture point that I teach people, and it's right on the very center line of the nose between the haired and non-haired portion, right where the haired and non-haired portion is. And you can either take your fingertip and just put pressure on that. You could take like a ballpoint pen or something. I just like rub it with my finger. I stick needles in it when I'm doing acupuncture, but it's amazing how you stimulate that point, and like 15 minutes later I'll have somebody bring food in from the kitchen, and the animal will often eat. So it works really well with cats. If you're really stuck and you're stressed out, but you can just give them a little acupressure treatment right on the tip of their nose. So those are a couple
That's awesome.
tidbits. And warming the food, even putting things like bone broth in, warmed. Sometimes animals who don't want to chew, if they do have a jaw issue or TMJ or dental, they'll lick things. So warmed up raw goat's milk and bone broth are just favorites of mine, just because they're soothing and they're going to get calories into them.
Jamie, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I see Jo, she wrote in the comment section that the dog wouldn't eat if the food bowl was near the water bowl. And that's very common with cats, actually. And so kind of to add to Joe's statement, which thanks for sharing that, because again, a lot of people don't think about where the bowls go and or where the bowls are next to, and never, ever, ever near their litter box either, like ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, although on the flip side with dogs, if you have dogs that like to have bathroom issues or they're not quite potty trained, if you feed them in the areas that you've cleaned, that can kind of change their mindset of how they feel about the environment and lessen having accidents in the house. So we can do that in that sense. But yeah, always be cautious about where their bowls are they, and then that kind of leads to another thing that I thought of was, do they want to eat it low or high? Do they want to eat it hidden or open? Right? So cats, I have one cat that wants to eat on the top of a perch or the top of my dresser. I have the other cat that wants to eat, she has a little Christmas house that I bought her a couple years ago. It's like a cardboard box Christmas house, literally. It's like a little house. It's a gingerbread house. She eats her every single meal in that, and she runs in there and she's like so excited, and she flips around, turns around, she's like, put my bowl down. And she's so, where does your animal, is it low, high, what is that?
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks Joe for adding that, because definitely what's beside the dish matters.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any surprising fixes that you've seen work for a picky eater? Anything that's very unusual, any surprising thing that surprised you?
So I have a thing that I call the scatter game. I use it for many purposes. And I had actually one golden retriever years and years ago who just, they tried everything. They couldn't do anything. So I said, does he know how to catch food? He's a golden retriever. He retrieves things. So I'm like, have you tried him catching the food? And literally, all they had to do is throw one piece of kibble, and that dog was eating. That was it. That's all the dog wanted was somebody to throw his food to him.
That's awesome. I love that.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll retrieve the food, but
I've done a scatter game with for treats where I've got little mini kibbles. And I've got 5 dogs, and it's like I just throw a handful on the floor, and it's just they scatter everybody, and they've all got to go get, and retrieve. And sometimes when my dog's refusing to eat, all of a sudden he's in on the game, and now he's eating.
Yeah,
right?
and it helps greatly with multi-pets, or even just dogs who have natural resource. Dogs are natural resource guarders, everybody. It is instinctive. And they just don't realize that in a domestic world that they shouldn't bite us or fight over it, but it is a very natural behavior, so they're not being bad. But the scatter game is a great method to use to teach space awareness with multi-pet holds, but also if your dog is sensitive about your space, you being in the space. Scatter game, I love starting off with low values and then go up to higher values. And it's so much fun because dogs, especially young dogs, they love cats as well. If I scatter food with my dogs, literally the cats are right in there as well. Like, let's go. So
mine too.
Movement, they like movement. So the scatter game, it just has so many great purposes. And that's probably one of my go-to things for, if I get a client that says, hey, we're having food issues. All right, well, are they catching it? Are they chasing it? Is there movement involved? Can you put it in like a little shooting gun and like shoot it down the hallway, and then they'll chase it with that? I'm telling you, it works.
Love it.
It's fun, and not only is it fun for your dog, it's fun for you too, right? So, but the scatter game on the ground, it's great for multi-pets and for resource guarding. It's so amazing. If done the right way. It can be done the wrong way. So as long as it's done the right way, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Somebody in the chat, this is an interesting question. Somebody says the dog rubs their face after they eat because they enjoy their food. Is that true? After they eat, I know my dogs do that. After they eat, they go, rub their face in the pillows, and they're like, oh, that was so good.
I think it's more of a cleaning behavior, in my opinion, but
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so too. I have my golden doodle will do that, but he's got, the dogs with a lot of hair around their mouths, and it's like cleaning for, I think so.
And it's a cleaning ritual, but it's also a communication ritual. So if Like mom goes out and collects food and she brings it back. All the puppies are licking her face. Where did you go? What did you get? What did you eat? What did you bring back? Like there's so much communication happening there too. And you know, if they're rubbing it on the couch, is there another animal that's coming by and reading that message after as well? So it's, I mean, our dogs don't
Yeah.
really realize that we're humans, right? So in their minds, they're like, oh, I'm leaving you all of these stories on the couch. Have you read them
Yeah.
yet? Right? So
Yeah, because they'll run right down or along the edge of the bedspread or something. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cherry's got a question, and I think this would be for Dr. Josie to answer. How do you heal intestines after major obstruction surgery, even after 2 years, still can't tolerate bones? He just vomits. Is that something you can answer,
I
Dr.
mean,
Josie, or is that too much?
well, I mean, he may not be able to chew regular bones. You know, it depends upon what was intestinal resected. You know, did it cause like a strictured part of the intestine? And that's one reason. But have to look at different things. And if he can't eat, you know, bones, do like things like the topples instead, or find other chewing things so that they're not swallowing bone fragments. You know, I would also look at to make sure there's not a food sensitivity to the type of bone you're giving. You know, they have if you're giving them beef bones and they have a beef sensitivity or something, that could be another part of the issue.
That's a good
So
point.
there's lots of there's different factors to look at with that.
Okay.
And when they undergo intestinal surgery too, they're given loads of antibiotics because to prevent sepsis and everything else. So you've got to look at the microbiome issues
Mhm.
as well.
Mhm. That's a good point.
mm,
Yeah.
If a picky dog could speak, what do you think they would say about mealtime?
make it easy, make it fun,
Make it fun.
but make it
Yeah, make it fun.
Yeah,
make it easy, make it fun, but also challenging.
yeah.
So I find that a lot of dogs lack problem solving skills because we do
Mm.
everything for them. We've stripped them of them making their own choices and decisions because we tell them to do everything, right? Through obedience, through sports, through like so many facets in our day-to-day relationship. So a lot of pet parents get the idea that I need to make the activity hard. It's not success unless the dog can achieve a puzzle that's extremely hard. And that is completely the opposite. Dogs want something where it's easy to do, but there's a challenge there. Finding different ways. So when you go and get a puzzle from the store, our mind is like, oh, let's go get the level 5 puzzle. No, get the kindergarten puppy easy puzzle, motivate them first, and then build up their problem solving skills, build up their desire, what type of puzzles they like to play. Can even be a muffin tin from the dollar store. How do they like to interact with the muffin tin? How about a cardboard box? Do they like to get and find kibble out of a cardboard box? So make it fun, be really creative, but also be super patient because dogs are really patient and cats are really patient. So we need to be sometimes a little bit patient and not just like hurry them through the process. Really teach them. I love puzzle games because I love teaching my dog how to problem solve. And then along the way, I'm allowing them to kind of do their own problem solving as well. And then if they get stuck, I'll help them out. But having a little bit of frustration is also healthy, but not over frustration, right? So there's this bittersweet mindset of when it's too hard, when it's too easy, when to help, when not to help. And that does become dog and cat dependent as well, environment dependent, human dependent. But I think just less is more and make it simple and fun and then motivate them from there. I think that'd be my tip.
Dr. Josie, you have anything to add to that?
What was the initial question? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
If if picky dogs could speak, what do you think they would say about mealtime?
feed me something good that's not going to give me a bellyache.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
Fresh, feed fresh.
Feed
Yeah.
fresh.
And don't feed me the same thing breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the
Right.
entire my entire life. You know,
Right.
I mean, my dogs get a lot of variety. I mean,
Mm.
my two older animals get less variety now just because they're older, but they get a lot of variety.
Yeah, mine do too.
And they get my meat and veggies that come out of the kitchen. I'll go in the dog food, you know, in with the dog food. So they're constantly getting variety.
Mhm.
And they're
Yeah.
getting real meat. I mean, even some dogs too do better with, again, the slightly cooked food or cooked food where it's warm and it's cooked. There's something about, like, I don't know if other people have made this observation, but think about Thanksgiving and when you've got that turkey in the oven and the animals in the house are usually just like, man, you know, it's like the campfire and the meat is on the spit and we want to have some of that. And there's something about us preparing the food for them and putting our love into it
Mhm.
and serving it nice and warm to them. You know, it's just like us when our mom would cook us a good home, you know, or somebody you love cooks you a home-fed meal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I always laughed when the kids, we have adult children, and when they were growing up, you know, they loved macaroni and hot dogs. Like that was their go-to. And I'm making, you know, boiled chicken and like all these gourmet meals for the dogs. And the kids are always like, man, you feed them way better than us. I'm like, yeah, but that's what you like. You didn't ask for those meals. You asked for hot dogs, macaroni. Like you got to get a different agenda then.
I love it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Any tips for transitioning a
Mm.
kibble-fed pet to a raw diet? Any tips in that area?
Um, some animals, you can go cold turkey on it. I mean, when I brought this golden doodle in, he was probably eating the like whatever generic was out of the feed store kibble. And I didn't have anything in the house when he showed up that night. And so I pulled out the raw and that's what he ate. But
Mhm.
he has guts of steel. He was also foraging on deer parts in the woods. So, I mean, this dog has guts of steel. A dog that's more sensitive, you can go much slower. It's okay to mix raw with kibble. There's so much on, I don't know where that even got started online. Oh, you can't mix the processed with
Oh,
the unprocessed, but
oh,
you
I have
definitely can,
I
you
have the
know?
answer to that, at least from what in my education, from what I learned, and you can maybe
Uh-huh.
attest to this to see if this is true or not. What I was told was the digestive enzymes for processed food do not turn on because the stomach doesn't recognize it as real food. So the digestive enzymes don't come on. So the acidic bath is not there as it would be for raw. So, and those
Some of that
digestive,
is true,
yeah,
especially if they're older and all they have not had any people food, you know, like
okay.
when people go into the vet, oh, do you feed table scraps or people food? Now, most people, honestly, truthfully, probably always feed a little bit of people food. But I just have them, in that case, I have them go really slowly. I mean,
Mhm.
if it's like a half a teaspoon of the raw mixture, or just starting them with some pieces of meat or a little bit of ground up meat or something, and go really slowly and add in digestive enzymes until, you know, because their whole gut is going to have a switch and a changeover.
Right.
So
That's
it
that's a
kind
good
of
tip.
depends upon the animal and, you know, what you're doing there.
That's good. There's another question in the Q&A by Claudia. How do you recommend feeding raw besides in a bowl? The key mat doesn't work. I usually give options separated in a bowl. Right now, food is still sitting there. Um, I'm gonna just mention the Mind platters. No, Claudia, if you're in Canada or in the United States, look up Mind platters, and that's what I transitioned mine to. And I'm thinking of getting the lady who is the owner of that company on for a whole session talking about the Mind platters and why they work for picky eaters. Dr. Josie, are you familiar with what I'm
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah, I am. I would love to hear like her whole take on it, but yeah, that I would go with that. There's a lot of other different brands out right now and they
Sure.
don't look like they're made the same. I don't know if there's differences specifically, but the mind platters. Also I had, like you talk about like dogs wanting space around them or movement. I had one client, she would, as one of the meals of the dogs, she would take them out on her screened in patio with a towel and give them like a whole chicken back just to chew and gnaw on, just a raw chicken back. And that she had golden retrievers, and that was their just highlight of the day. And they were in separate areas, so they didn't have to worry about resource guarding and things. But you can feed raw lots of different ways. It depends upon, are you feeding whole, raw meaty bones? Are you feeding ground raw? What exactly,
Right.
the texture is. But it
Yeah.
still works on the mind platter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know you, Claudia mentioned the licking mat doesn't work, and is that just a preference to the animal not wanting to lick their food and they want to chew their food?
Yeah.
Do they want to chase their food? So it is an observation game of learning what style your dog. And again, they'll change what they prefer. One day they like to lick, one day they want to chew, one day they want to chase. Right? It's different. But like Maya, when she was in her younger days, she loved to suntan on the deck. So I would take a blanket, a quilt, and I mean it's laundry, but she's happy and she's like so just relaxed and in her own zen area. And so I take the quilt and I give her raw food or all her raw bones and whatever she wanted, and off. So she'd have a little picnic on the deck or on our 5 acres of
Yeah.
property and under a tree, or it's like us going to read a book under the shade and creating those space. So another thing is multiple. Another thing that I love to use is the muffin tins. Literally, you can get muffin tins at the dollar store
Oh.
for so cheap, and you can literally create this. So yeah, it's still out of a bowl, but it's still different, and it means that the dog is seeing it differently and eating differently. So it's not just 30 seconds devouring. I can put toys in the bowl where they got to pick it out, pick the toy out, and get the food. And it's a seeking behavior, right? And dogs thrive on seeking things.
Or even just like a cutting board on
Yeah,
wood instead of
yeah,
plastic or something.
exactly.
You can
Everybody,
change up the surfaces.
most people have a dishwasher, so don't worry
Yeah.
about contamination. And as long as you're cleaning their things the same way as you're cleaning your things, you have no risk, right?
Good point.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so don't worry about, literally throw the towels in the wash and off you go. Like you can use them again. It there's no risk there. I would just go to the dollar store and find creative objects
Yeah.
that you can stuff food in, and I will guarantee you, your dog be like, "What is this? This is so cool!" And even cats do. Like when the dogs get something new, the cats are like, "Where's my new thing?" Like,
Right.
I didn't get a new thing. Where's my new thing?
Yeah.
And they get jealous over it, right? So
Yeah.
They
I
do.
think just
They
be
do.
creative.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. My when I first got my first cat ever, she was about 4 months old, and my ritual at 9 o'clock was to brush teeth, do tricks for treats in the kitchen, and everybody would get a treat. And my cat's going, "Well, where's my treat?" And I said, "Well, where's your trick?" So I did this, and all of a sudden she's doing high fives. I'm going, "Okay,
Aw.
there's your treat."
Yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah, I know, but they like to be involved too.
They do.
We often
Yeah.
forget about the cats, and I've been known to do that too. I'm like, well, I didn't think you would like it. I didn't think you'd want
Right?
to. And then they're like, come
They
on.
surprise you sometimes.
They do.
If you
Yeah.
tried to force them to do it or something, it would be
Oh.
like, I'm not going to partake in that. You have to be tricky with cats.
Yeah. Well, she thinks she's
Make
one of the
them.
dogs, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that. I don't see any more questions. Ladies, do you have any afterthoughts to add into this session at this point? Because we're at an hour and a half now.
No, I think we've covered a lot.
Yeah, I think we've covered yeah. I mean, try to stay calm yourself and don't be afraid to try out different things. Try new feeding places, try new surfaces, and I think the videotaping too, I think that's a really good idea because there's so many things we do that we don't even realize we're doing. You
Well,
know?
and there's so many things in the environment that you don't
Yes.
realize attribute to those behavioral changes.
Yeah.
Right.
And we
So
don't even think about it. I mean, I had one lady, she was feeding her cat next to the clothes dryer and doing laundry at the same time,
oh yeah,
you
no.
know?
Yeah, no.
It's like this big machine starts, going. Of course, the cat's gonna freak out, but
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
and then
she
there's
didn't,
things like,
never thought of it.
yeah, right. You don't think about it until somebody tells you, right? Trigger stacking is a big thing in the dog world where, and it's
Yeah.
with cats too, but we just don't think about it as much with cats, but it's still a thing. And if people don't know what trigger stacking is, it's where a series of events happen, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 10, 30, could be within 30 seconds, 30 hours. Animals are taking in so many things, sight, sound, smells, all of these things. And what can happen behaviorally is a trigger stack happens. And I'm good for 10 things. And then all of a sudden, then the 11th thing, I have my explosion, or I have my emotional meltdown, or I've just put so much pressure on the animal that they just can't take it anymore. Right. So is there things and the reason why I bring this up is because of the videotaping. Is there trigger stacking happening
Mhm.
in that time frame? Did a siren go by, a dog bark, a car horn, it rained, what happened in all of those things? So really, if you could take away anything from this call from us, I really think it's to stop and observe and take more notes.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
and be more sympathetic, because our
Yeah.
animals do go through far more traumas than you think in a day.
Mhm. I
And be
agree.
more patient,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, be
Can try.
patient with yourself and don't punish yourself or think, oh, I did
Yeah.
XYZ wrong for 30 years. And now today's a new day. Don't live in the past. Our animals don't. Live today and move forward. When we know better, we do better. So don't punish yourself either if you've thinking that you've done something wrong. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Janet,
Those
you
are
wanted
good
to say
points.
something. You're on mute. You can unmute.
Yeah, I'm gonna unmute her now. Jen, if you want to unmute and ask a question, is that what you were trying to do?
I think she's been trying to speak all this whole time.
Okay, gotcha.
There we
I've
go.
unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, now let me think if I can remember my question. Is it all right if you have a picky eater? For example, my picky eater tests me every day. She tests me every day. It's almost like a game for us. It's not, she doesn't make me angry. I don't get angry with her anymore. We just play this game, and I give her so long to eat her food, and I've given her a variety. I've even gotten to the point where I'm heating it for her because she doesn't like it cold out of the fridge. But if she doesn't eat it and I give her 4 ounces or whatever she's supposed to get, I cover it and I put it in the fridge. And next feeding, I give her that same amount back, reheated, but back. Is that okay? Or should I be?
What is your animal? Dog, cat, signaling?
Oh, it's a dog. I'm
And what are
sorry.
you feeding?
It's a female terrier, 10-year-old terrier,
And what are you feeding?
raw. I'm feeding her
Commercial raw or commercial raw?
Yes. I'm not
Okay.
making the food for her. Yes. Commercial raw.
Yeah, I mean, I think with one meal that would be fine. I wouldn't continue to do it with
Oh, I know. I
that. But
wouldn't
if
do
you're
it past
putting it,
2.
yeah, if you're putting it one time back in the refrigerator and then pulling it back out, I think you're pretty safe, you know.
It's usually, she usually gets the idea that, okay, this is what I'm getting, so I'll eat it. But it's
Yeah.
not like she gets the same thing every time, because I'll give her maybe a combination of rabbit and duck, or I'll give her a combination of, rabbit and salmon,
Mhm.
whatever. It's a combo.
Mhm.
So it's not, and it's different makes. I've tried just about everything with her. With my male, if I leave it down for a few minutes and he looks at it and he walks away, he usually comes back because he's hungry. But if she's hungry, I can listen to her stomach grumble and she will not eat.
Well, you said that Norm was feeding her and she was doing better.
I did, and that worked for a while, and now she's doing the same thing to him. So
Oh,
I have taken back the feeding. Besides, I'm in more control of what goes into her food that way. Yeah,
I think the videotaping would be a great idea.
I'm going
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, and if you want,
Yeah.
you've got my email. I think we've shared my email already. It's just kindercaninecoaching@gmail.com.
Well, that was fast. What was it?
Kinder Canine Coaching at
Okay.
gmail.com. I'll write it in the chat.
Thank you.
Email it to me and I'll assess it and give you some feedback off of it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, because you said it's become a game, so there's something going on back and forth there.
She's done this when we first
That's,
started
you
feeding
know.
her raw. She loved it. She ate it. She was great for like a week. And then all of a sudden, oh, no, I want something else. We started with the picky. And Donna and I worked through it. I've tried a number of different things, and it seems to be her. She'll just get it in her mind she doesn't want to eat. And I'll think, okay, well, maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe I'll try feeding it to her later, and I'll put it down later, and she'll walk up and she'll sniff it. She'll look at me and she'll walk away. But if we're eating, whoa, she's right there. She wants to see what we're eating.
Yeah, so
She's hungry.
there's some emotional trauma that I was going to ask that. Is she willing to eat other things like treats or human
Yeah.
food or
Oh, anytime. Oh, yes, for
it's
sure.
a trauma issue emotionally on the space or the deliverance or something. Yeah. So videos
TV.
for sure.
I'd
I mean,
also try gently cooked instead of raw,
Yeah.
or sometimes adding fiber. I
Mhm.
find a lot of the raw diets, I end up adding extra fiber to them
yeah.
because they'll not have enough fiber.
Yeah,
Like-
I've got Jan adding fiber to it
Yes.
too, because that was
Are
one
we
of the
talking
things
about the vegetable fruit mixture?
Yep, yep,
Yes.
yep,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, I'm adding that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I
Or
cook that.
trying or going to a gently cooked.
I'm
Yeah.
Would be
warming it,
another
and
option.
I'm warming it in a
Double
I'm
boiler.
heating it. I don't want to cook it because I thought, why am I feeding
Yeah,
raw if I'm going
yeah.
to cook it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just warming it so it's not cold out of the fridge. He seemed to my male sure liked that better.
I recommend doing that with all. I recommend allowing it at least to come to room temperature. Mine, I float the containers in like about 2 inches of hot water in the sink for about
Yeah.
10 minutes before I feed it. So it makes it nice and juicy and warmed up. In traditional Chinese medicine, it takes, if the food hits the stomach at body temperature, and this goes back to digestive enzymes. Digestive enzymes only work in a very limited temperature range. So if the food goes in cold, the body has to take energy and qi to warm it up to get it to a specific temperature range before the digestive enzymes can even begin to break it down.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
So
thought.
when it's warmed up going in, it settles a lot more. Think about what happens in a muscle when it's cold. Everything contracts. So that's going to happen to the stomach. That's why a lot of dogs, if they eat, if you give people transition them to raw and it's coming straight out of the refrigerator, icy cold, and they're just regurgitating it right
Yes.
back up.
Yeah.
That's because it's ice cold.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good
So
idea.
I mean that goes
you know,
across the board, not even picky eaters, but
Yeah,
I tell that to all of my
just eating,
clients
yeah.
because you're actually wearing out their life force and their chi by feeding them cold icy food.
Oh, that I stopped that about a week ago for
Yeah.
sure because I thought,
Yeah.
okay, no, but I like the idea of floating it in hot water instead of doing it in the
Yeah.
double boiler.
Yeah,
I'll do
just
that.
like I mean, it's in plastic and people are all on the microplastics, but hey, it gets it warmed up. It's only in there for a
It's
few
not in there for
minutes,
long.
and it's
Yeah.
exactly. And
I'd rather
and
do
then
that
the
than cook it.
aromas get
Mhm.
and then the aromas get going. It's nice
Yeah.
and juicy and
Well, you have to
more
think if they're
ready to eat it.
hunting and dogs are
Body temp.
hunters, they're scavengers, but the
Mhm.
animal is not cold. The animal is hot and warm and
Yes.
Yeah.
right. So that's what they want. That's what they thrive on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Good idea. I like that. I'm going to do
Yeah.
that for sure.
Okay. Thank you, Jan, for that question.
Thank
Good
you.
questions from everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, some good questions. Anybody
Great.
else? Anything last minute? All
Thank
right.
you everyone for coming on and the
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope you at least gained if you want to quickly add in the chat one new thing you learned today. I always ask this at every behavioral assessment, any
That's
private
so
lesson.
good.
What's one new thing that you learned? Because that will stick
Yeah,
with
it is good.
when you say it out loud, it will stick with you, and it just brings more positivity to your thoughts
Mhm.
when you work with your animals. So I always ask, so if you want to quickly add in the chat before we leave, what's one new thing you learned today?
Okay.
That's perfect. I love that. Thank you. And
Thank
thank you, Dr. Josie, for joining us, and thank you,
Oh,
Jamie, for
You're
joining
very
us.
welcome.
Yes, it was a real pleasure having you, and maybe we'll do this again if there's a demand or if we got more information to share, but this was great. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks,
Everybody
everyone.
have a good evening. Good night.
Take care.